Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is the top 10 $2 bills from my collection. Last week, you guys saw me do odd denominations, and even though a $2 bill isn't an odd denomination, it's a very common denomination, nobody uses them. So it's technically an odd denomination. If you doubt this, go get a $2 bill and spend it and watch people's reactions. They will look at it as if it's foreign currency. So, this week, like I said, after last week's odd denominations, we're going to do $2 bills. And with $2 bills, you're going to see they've been around for quite some time. So, they shouldn't be an oddity, but yet they are. All right, number 10. This is from the Civil War, the Confederate States of America $2 bill. These are always in rough shape. You can see here the date is February 17th, 1864, right across the top. It's got a handwritten serial number. The signatures are hand-signed. The back is pretty rough on this one, too. Now, the reason why the low denominations from the Civil War are always in rough shape is because they were used. This was in a soldier's pocket, I'm sure. So that is why you never really find the ones and the twos in crisp, uncirculated condition. They were circulated. The higher denominations, those were generally purchased to help fund the war effort and weren't necessarily spent. If you had $500 at the time, you probably weren't spending $500 at a time. You probably bought the note and then just tucked it away. But yeah, the ones and the twos, those were circulated, and that's why they always see so much wear, and it's so rare to find one in good shape. So that's an 1864 $2 Confederate States of America. That's number 10. Number 9. Number 9 is from the same time period. This is from the state of Louisiana. Literally, the state published these notes, and let's see if I can make out a date on here. Yeah, right here. February 24th, 1862 on this particular one. Now, this one is interesting because they used recycled notes. So the back of this note actually has, that's pesos. Wow. And here is from the Bank of Texas, $2. So yeah, they used recycled notes. And this particular note, if you look, it says State O, Louisiana, and it says 2D, and you can see there's a bunch of letters missing in dollars. Somebody had cut this apart trying to probably make these notes, and because that's where the cut is, and then put the thing back together, even though it doesn't quite line up. So that's the story behind this one. I didn't catch that when I saw it, but State of Louisiana $2 bill with a Bank of Texas back. That was pretty cool, so that's why I scooped it up. Anything that's Bank of Texas, you don't see a whole lot of those. So that is number 9. Number 8, I have two more Confederate $2 bills. I want to say this is type 44 and 45. This is the Confederate States of America $2, and if I look here, it's June 2nd, 1862, and if I remember, this is also going to have the same date on there, but they put in this green overprint, and this was not approved. This is how the note was designed, and I forgot the person, but the person in charge wanted to make these notes a little harder to counterfeit, so they took it upon themselves to do the green overprint like that, but the green overprint was never approved. So the notes that have the green overprint are short printed and are the ones that are highly desirable. Not that the others aren't. I mean, these are $40 to $100 or so. These are probably 75 in low grade and go up significantly from there. So yeah, you've got the $2, and this is known as the Slayer note. It's known because of the imagery right here. Let's see what it says. 6 months after the ratification of a treaty of peace between the Confederate States and the United States, and the image is supposed to be the South slaying the Union. That's what the image is supposed to be on there. So yeah, you've got the regular, and then you have the green overprint, which is the much more rare version. That is number 8. Number 7. I was always fascinated by this note. One of the remainder notes, this is from Detroit, Michigan, the State Bank of Michigan. And it was interesting when I first saw this note because of all of the inscriptions here, which are kind of tough to read because of the background. It tries to explain the value of the note, and it says $2 here, one half. I mean, it's supposed to be a $2 bill. It's pretty clear that from here it's a $2 bill. But when you read all the details, what this actually is a $2 bill and a receipt. You were supposed to cut it in half when you spent it, and that way the bank would retain one half, you would have the other half, and then to redeem it, you would basically piece the two halves together. Nothing on the back here. But when it gets into this, I'm not even gonna read it out loud, but I will put it there, so you can see. There's $2 is one half, 2/3, 3/4 on the 5. They're referring to where the cut line is. And you basically have to have an uncut sheet of these notes to appreciate all of that. Because just by reading this, it sounds like if you cut it here, it's worth $1, and cut it here, it's $2, and cut it here, it's $4. So it was very confusing that way. But yeah, this is the $2 note. As you can see, these are remainders, so this was not circulated. And I'm not sure these were ever circulated because of the confusion. Anyway, the Detroit $2 state note, and by the way, the Indian hunting the buffalo, just a really cool image there, and you can see on the bottom, American Banknote Company. Pretty cool note. All right, so that one is number, what is that, 6, 10, 9, 8, number 7. Number 6. We are going with my Paul Sorvino note. This is a silver certificate. You can see here, active August 1886. And if we look on here, Rosecrans, Nebuchadnezzar, just checking out all the cool stuff. You can see the series right here, 1891. That's the year that the law was passed for silver certificates. Now, this does look like a rainbow with the blue here, but this is actually just wet ink transfer, I guess you'd call it. The bill is not blue. The bill looks blue, but that's staining on the bill. That's not the color. But to me, that's always been Paul Sorvino. I believe it is William. It says right on here, William Wyndham is who that is. But to me, that's Paul Sorvino. And unfortunately, mine's got a little bit of folds here because he's got some big old pork chops on the side of his face. Looking at the back, United States silver certificate, $2 silver. Really cool note. They left enough white so you were able to see the red and blue fibers that are through the paper like that. Overall, a pretty cool note. Just one of the notes, one of the $2 notes that you just don't see very often, and that's why it's in my list. That is number 6. Number 5. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yeah, number 5. Going with a mini porthole. My mini porthole, this would probably rank higher if it was in better shape. The 2 in the blue like that, when you get one that's really nice, that just pops like you wouldn't believe. And then you got the blue seal on this side. The mini porthole has George Washington with the little circle here, so that's what gave it the mini porthole designation. Most older $2 bills tend to have a corner or two torn off it, and that has to do with getting rid of bad luck. $2 bills always had this thing that they were considered unlucky, or they were from ill-gotten gains or something to that effect. There was people buying votes for $2 bills. There was the $2 whore. There's the $2 bet at a horse track. So if someone got a $2 bill, it was considered bad luck, and they would tear a corner off, and then they'd spend the note, and as soon as all 4 corners were torn, that would break the bad luck spell. Here's the back of that. This one here, like I said, got a little bit of tape residue on the back of it. I have one. These can get kind of expensive, so I got one in lower grade, but to me it was more important to have one rather than have one that's perfect. It's very, all these notes in really good shape can get to be expensive, and my first goal is to get the note, and then I have the rest of my life to upgrade the notes. But that's how I feel about collecting. Get the note, you can always upgrade it. So that one is number 5. Number 4. This is the 1918 Federal Reserve banknote. This particular one happens to be from New York. This one features Thomas Jefferson. Why is this note as high as it is? This is the Battleship note. You have the USS New York on the back of this, and that is just such a cool image. And as we zoom in here, you can see that there are even people on the front of the ship. Just a amazing World War I battleship. And if I remember correctly, this was actually at Pearl Harbor during the attack on Pearl Harbor. The USS New York was there. So yeah, to have a note with a naval battleship on the back, it really doesn't get any cooler than that. You want to get one of these in good enough condition that you can see all the detail on the ship, because it is quite detailed. It is a very, very, very cool image. Much like with the rainbows, you want to get one where you can see the rainbow. With one of these, you want to get one where you can see the ship. Now, the different Federal Reserve banks are going to have different prices based on how many they made. New York and San Francisco generally put out a bunch. Minneapolis doesn't put out as many. So you're going to see different prices as far as that stuff goes. But this one is number 4, the 1918 Battleship. Number 3. I debated if this should be in 3 or if it should be higher. It's the 1896 $2 educational note. This particular note was the first educational that I bought, and as soon as I bought it, I had him send it in for grading immediately because I thought it was in really nice shape, and it did not come back as nice as I was hoping. In fact, they have minor repairs listed on it, so what actually happened with this is somebody had cleaned this note. So I'm glad they didn't put the net on there. They just put minor repairs, because if you look, there's nothing really to see other than how bright the note is. Now, when you look at the detail, that's when you can see that there's wear on the note. But when you look, you don't really see the folds. So yeah, to me, this note was probably cleaned and pressed. I bought it not understanding those qualities on a note, but I was still happy with the actual grade of the note based on what I paid for it. So even with the grading process, it was still a good deal for me, and it's only gone up in value. This is one of those notes that has great eye appeal. I always look for the eye appeal, and odds are this note would have graded 25 before they cleaned it, and that's the whole point. You cannot increase the value by cleaning a note. All you can do is make it prettier to look at, but the condition is the condition. So that one is number 3 on the list. Number 2, I went with the 1862 legal tender. This is the first $2 bill that our country made. The 1862 series was the first series of notes put out by our government, and I had to get this. Graded 15, and it's got the net grade as well. But looking at it, it says repaired, and I don't know if that's a tear that was repaired or what, but overall, I do not understand the grade on this one at all. To me, this note is beautiful. This note is really nice. No idea where that grade comes from as I scroll through everything. Check out the serial number, 19890, one away from a radar. One of the other things you'll notice is the signature here is Spinner, and the P in Spinner dips off the page, and you can see here that here's the P from the note that was right above it, so that's kind of interesting. Another thing to point out about the 1862 is they have a 1 here, and on the $1 1862, that's highlighted. The 2 is highlighted on this because it is a $2 note, but they also have a 3, which implies that they were going to make a $3 bill, but never did. And there's the back. Once again, all the green ink on the back gave these the nickname the greenbacks. So that one is number 2. So what did I choose for number 1? Any guesses? I know some of you guessed it. This is my 1875 $2 Lazy Deuce. It's from the first series of national currency. This is one of the original series, I should say. It even says original on here. There was the original for the first series, and then there was the 1975 or 1875 series as well. Those are both first series notes, but the 1860 or 1875 version will have the charter number, and it'll say 1875 right in this area here. It'll be in red, so I should read it this way. But the original nationals, like this one here, do not have that. That's how you know the difference between an original and the 1865. Now, like I said, they're all considered the first series, but this one is original. This one also was given the net designation. I just am fascinated by the Lazy Deuce laying on its side like that. Such a cool note. It also has Spinner's signature on it here. This particular one is from the American National Bank of Providence, Rhode Island. So when we check out the back, there is for the U.S. and there is the for Rhode Island. You can see right here. This one's seen some stuff, but you know, to be a first series original Lazy Deuce, yeah, this is worth a little bit. Repaired, overprint, redrawn. So if I look, the overprint would be like a serial number, and I'm not sure if that was redrawn. I'm not sure if it was the seal that was semi-redrawn, possibly. Looking over here, that's an overprint. I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell what it was. But to have a graded, even though it's only graded 8, we know it's real. That's the important thing. If you're ever unsure of a note, if you have a graded version, then you know it's the real thing. But yeah, the original versus the 1875. That's the important part of this. That one is number 1. All right, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.